Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you like what you see, and I would love to know more about what you like to stitch and what you're stitching. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me as we talk cross stitch. And last week, a lot of people told me what they were stitching, and it was so much fun to see all of the different variety of things people were working on. So keep it coming. I love to see it. And then, of course, if I don't know a project, I have to look it up, and then you enable me, and it's just all wonderful. So thank you. Okay, so before we get started with my projects, and I have a lot this week because it was a challenge weekend, I do have a full finish, which you can see right here. So I'm going to pull this out for a minute. I stitched a few years ago, Serena Sprout, from Autumn Lane Stitchery. And she's been sitting in my drawer for quite some time. And so I decided to pull her out this week. Last week I had interfaced her and mostly cut her down, but I decided she was pretty tight to 12 inches. This is a 12 by 12 piece of paper, so this will go in the scrapbook. But I wanted to make her not so tight to the corners, so I did cut her down a little bit closer. I think you can see a lot of the green fabric really nicely still, so I'm happy with it. And then I couldn't quite figure out what to do, and I was thinking washi tape or something once I decided the purples, because there's so many different types of purples in her that I really wanted to celebrate that color. So I have actually this is almost a navy. This even might be closer to a navy. And I think there I was pulling out some of those blues. But if you look quick, it could look like a purple and, real deep. And then I wanted to go with the lilac, but I did need that dark color because otherwise she kind of faded in. But then I found all of these kind of butterfly. They're not stickers, they're basically die cuts. And so, oh gosh, I meant to bring the glue that I used. There is from Gina K Designs. Gina K is a stamp company, but they have all sorts of wonderful crafting supplies. And Gina K has a fabulous YouTube channel if you're interested. I'm gonna write it down so that I can link her. But she has something called Connect, I think it's called Connect Glue. If I remember, I'm gonna put a note again to talk about the glue. It's a small little tube. So, and it's got, a nice little small spout sort of thing, so you can get into smaller pieces and things like that. And so I was able to just put some glue a little bit on the back of each of them. Didn't need a lot, even on this one. And I wanted to be careful. I started to glue all of it, but I wanted this butterfly actually pops up a little bit because it's on a couple layers. So that's a little bit of dimension there. But super easy to add these. You could use double-sided tape, and I've done that before, but it's a bit of a pain because you have to cut it all down and everything else. The little bit of glue went super fast and super easy. And I thought because there was the butterflies in the piece itself, and you kind of have that flowing look, I thought they went really nicely. So there we go. That's my full finish for this week. I didn't have any last week, so I thought, oh, I need to get myself finishing, so I did get one this week. And I'm going to put Serena back up here so that she can hang out for the video, and then she will be put in her page protector, and she will go in my scrapbook that has my 12 by 12 finishes. I do not have that right here, be able to show it to you. It is over on my center table in my craft room here. But one day, I should say, if you go to not the Christmas December of 24, but December of 23, I did do a flip through of my scrapbooks, and I'm pretty sure in the playlist about scrapbooking your stitches, I'm sure I have a link to that video, and that shows you my 3 different size scrapbooks that I use and all of that fun stuff. So if you're looking for some information about scrapbooking your stitches, just go to that playlist, and I hopefully will be able to answer some of those questions. Okay, so now stitching. What happened this week? I'm going to talk a lot about Whip Warriors. Whip Warriors is a Facebook group. It is currently closed. They open generally mid to late November and stay open through the end of the year. and people can join and try it out and decide if it's for you or not. Whip Warriors is a participation required. Can't talk this morning. Participation required group. So you do have to do events, usually with before and after pictures to show. Some of them are counting only events. Some of them can either be count hours or count stitches. So if you don't count your stitches, there is a way to participate still. And sometimes some of the challenges, you just have to show progress. Therefore, I don't even know if you have to tell time or stitches with them, kind of thing. Therefore, you know, I mean, there's a lot to do if you want to, but it's not for everybody. And they're really great. If you decide it's not for me, you just leave the group, no big deal. Or life happens that year, no big deal. You can try again a different time if you get a chance to. So that's a lot of fun with it. I enjoy it. It's not for everybody, but for me, it's fun. Besides Whip Warriors, there is Magazine Monthly Cross Stitch Challenge. When we get to plans, I'll just talk about that. Crafts and Books has an acrostic, and then myself, I do have a Facebook page, Stitching by the Shore. Excuse me. And I do an I Spy challenge where I come up with 10 prompts and you try to spy them on your projects, wherever they are. And I am very much open to creative interpretation. No worries there. If you are not on Facebook, also no worries. I will put up the prompts on my community tab within. If you go to my main channel, it used to be called Community. I'm not 100% sure what it's called now. I'll have to look that up. But there is a tab where we can put posts. And if you go there, I do put it. So you're not, I don't expect you to be on Facebook in order to participate. You don't have to in any way, shape, or form. Everybody is welcome to participate without being on a specific social media place. So that's that. All right, so those are the things that might get thrown around as we're doing the video. During my projects, mostly you're going to hear about Whip Warriors because I finished I Spy and I finished the acrostics. But I did have an event this weekend, and there's a month-long event I'm doing. But before we get to all of that, on the 25th of the month, I have been trying this year, first time I've ever done this, is to at least pull out one Christmas piece. Now in January and February, I also started a little mini ornament, but this month I kind of didn't want to. I had a lot of starts in March already, and I have plans for April, and so I figured we'll take a break from that. Doesn't have to be every month. It was just something to kind of fun to do a few different times. But I had not pulled out Christmas Town. Make it a little bit bigger here. This is from Stitchrovia. And I started this, it's one of my oldest stitches. And for the longest time it sat because I had made a paper copy of it, and this was really difficult doing paper. I made a mistake, had to frog, the whole bit. Eventually I was able to I couldn't get it on Pattern Keeper, but I pseudo got it on Markup. So that's what I've been using on Markup RXP. I generally use mostly Pattern Keeper because I find it much more intuitive and easy to use. Markup I really don't understand, but I make do with little bits here and there. And here I am. This is where I got to. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see the sparkle. This is on 18 count white opal. I thought that would be a lot of fun. And in the end, I'll probably finish it as a square, so you'll have some opal shine around the edges. I'm not filling in the cloud, so that has some sparkle in it. And then some of these windows are not filled in, so they'll sparkle a little bit. And what's funny sometimes with the opal is I find it shines through some of the stitches sometimes, so that's kind of cool too. Things kind of sparkle anyway. This was the first time I ever tried opal fabric, and I like it. I find that at least this one is easy enough to go through. I don't have any problem seeing it or getting my needle, you know. I guess some people talk about the flecks of opal sometimes make it hard to, with your needle, to stitch through them, but I haven't found that. Maybe it's because I use Aida, I'm not sure, versus another type of fabric. And I am going all over the place, to be honest with you. I took a color, and I know I did the tree. I know I did some on this side. I might not have done this side. then I did some of the lighter blue, and I'm kind of going back and forth and doing all of that. So there's a lot kind of going on here, but I enjoyed it. I really love the colorful parts of this. I love Stitchrovia for that reason, and I'm looking forward to getting this one finished. So hopefully we can pull it out for Christmas pieces. It might be my oldest project. I'm not 100% sure, but I think for Christmas it is. So maybe you'll see this coming out. Now, I know some people like to do the 24th and the 25th, and I was planning on doing that, but the way that the Riff Off, which is the weekend challenge I participated in, the way it fell this month, I didn't plan ahead to make sure I had some Christmas pieces on the 25th potentially when I'd be stitching, and so I kind of had to like adjust somehow or other. When was the 25th? The 25th was Tuesday, so I was kind of finishing up. I can't remember when the Riff Off actually went to. I generally just do it, say, Friday through Sunday, maybe a little bit into Monday. I didn't officially participate in the fact that I didn't do pictures on the site. I just participated myself, and I'll show you my book when I get to that part. All right, now another event I am participating in this entire month is called Lion versus Lamb, and it is an event to work on full coverage pieces. I think this year for 2025, I think I've made about 10 of my full coverages active pieces that I'm trying to work on and get some good progress on. And there was no way I was going to get to all of those this month, but I've been making an effort to see how many I can get to. The event basically has you pull out one of your full coverages. They've challenged us to do I think it's least number of stitches versus least number of percentage. I went stitches, least number of stitches to most number of stitches. And, you know, keep working on them. Stitch 1,000 and then go on to the next one. Stitch 1,000 stitches and keep going. And I was, with the one I finished this week, that was 5. So I'm going to try to get in one more before the end of the month and have 6 of my full coverages get 1,000 stitches. So we'll see. But this is the one I worked on this time around. This is Mini Until the End. It is a retired piece. The artwork is by Rose Kahn, and it was charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, but all of Rose Kahn has been retired from Heaven and Earth. You can get some of her pieces elsewhere, but I think this is, now I'm just second guessing myself. I am almost sure it's Rose Kahn. In the description box below, in case I do make a mistake, I list all of my projects, and I do list for the full coverage, if I can figure it out, who the artist is. So you will see it down there as whoever the appropriate artist is. And I love the colors in this, and it's a good thing I love blue, because I am still stuck in all of the blues and teals. I can't wait to get to the dragons, but we're not there yet. Let me show you. This is it as a whole. This is 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1 full cross. That's how I like to do my full coverage. One of these days I'm going to completely shock you, because I'm going to try a 20 or a 25. I have both of those fabrics and I just haven't done it. Part of it is 20, I don't know whether to do 1 strand or 2. If I use DMC, I know if I was to use something like CXC, I know some people like the 1 strand. 25, it would be 1 strand, but we'll talk about that. I'm having 1 strand trouble, and you know that if you've been with me for a while. Anyway, this is where this one is. It did get 1,000 stitches. I would pick a color. I don't think I went on this edge at all. I think it was all over here. I would pick a color along the side here and just keep taking it. Maybe it was over here. I know this whole bit ended up getting, there's a lot of this filled in that wasn't there. And then I know I started to come down here. I filled in some of the empty spaces and holes here. So there's very few there. Because this is on Pattern Keeper, I really don't pay attention. I have no idea if I finish a page. I mean, maybe there's a page finish up here somewhere, but I have no idea. I completely stitch in every direction chaotically. So there's no rhyme or reason. I'll never be able to say I have X number of pages done on one of my full coverages. So there we are. Got its 1,000. It got 1,024 if I hadn't said before. So yay, that's good. And I did start my next one, which is Laszlo Code. I know you've seen it before. Ironically, a lot of the pieces I stitched this year in January and February were in my least number of stitches, so they've gotten more work done. I'm thinking for the month of April, I might pull out Hidden Harbor and do 100 stitches a day on it, because that hasn't seen any work yet. And I won't get to it in the Lion versus Lamb. All right, so the very last piece before we get to the riff off, I worked on my Empyrean Sal. I am so far behind, but I figure if I do a little bit each week, then I'm just kind of keeping up with it, and it'll be probably 6 months after it's finished before I get to finishing it. But that's okay. There's no rush. It's not a race. I'm enjoying it. Size-wise, 12.1 by 8.3. Whew. I wonder if I'll be able to get that slightly into the scrapbook. We'll see if I can inch out a 0.1 extra on my my cardstock. So if you do not want to see this, right now every week she sends us the updated kind of cover sheet, so to speak, and I've been just printing them out and showing them. They come out on Mondays. Today is Friday. I always feel like it's okay at that point. People would have seen that. But if you do not want to see, look away. I am going to show where we are at this point of releases. Okay, you've looked away. Here it is. And this is what's new this week. This was the pre-stitching, then week 1, week 2, week 3. These are lots of stitches, and I think that's part of it. I was I had to wait, obviously, for my kit to come in, and then I was hemming and hawing about where I was starting it, because I wanted to see if I could keep some of this pretty fabric and not just start straight in the middle. I did not get the pre-stitching completely done. It's still not done. And then I started stitching the first release, and I'm trying to get that done before I go there and then keep going. I would like to get this line from the pre-stitching done so that if there's stuff that starts coming here, then I'll have something to count off of. All right, I've taken that away if you want to turn back to see where I am. And here we are. That's where I am. This is 18 count Feathertail from Forbidden Fiber Co. That's who the Mystery Stitch Along is from. I did get the kit that had the fabric and the flosses, which are Forbidden Fiber Co. Hand-dyed flosses. And I am almost done. If you look here, see how this has this part of the wing? I just have that left, and the eye. I didn't finish the eye. I do have more of the lightning bolts up here. I have another set, but I wanted to get the dragon in to count off of for that. One night I did put in a little bit, and I was not able to see. I've been just printing off the working copies, and I've been working it as paper because I really am able to see the Forbidden Fiber Co. The charts are really nice. They're big. You're able to see them, but at night, I have trouble seeing charts regardless of how good they're printed, whether they're big or they're small. And I was going to do a little bit more of the dragon, and I just couldn't see. So I did pull out a strand and do some more words. I need to do Is a Tragedy, and then that side will be done. So if you think about it, it might be about this, maybe slightly wider than that. I'd say maybe that wide. And then which is 217, and then it's only 150 high. This is the middle, so think about that, right? Maybe about here. So I'll have a nice chunk of fabric left out of this, which is really great. But there I am. And this is Seaglass. It's done with 2 different shades of blue, hand-dyed. So there we are. And I will just, I know that I have plenty to stitch, and I don't need to wait for the release to actually drop on Mondays. Sometime on Monday it comes. Maybe not first thing when I wake up in the morning. I don't remember what time on Eastern time. And so I don't know exactly what time it drops, but sometime on Monday I get it. And then I'm always excited to try to get some stitching in. Okay, now we start the riff off. This is an event that happens maybe 3 times a year on Whip Warriors, 2 to 3 times. I don't remember exactly. And so for the weekend, they give you a kind of, what do they call it? A theme word kind of thing. And let me put this over here so I have it closer to me. And you're supposed to pick your first piece off of that theme, and then you try to connect that piece to another of your projects, however you want to connect it, and you keep doing that for as many as you can get to. Now, if you're to do it officially in the group, you have to choose 100, 200, or 500 stitches per choice. I didn't do it officially, but I did give myself 200 stitches per choice. Sometimes it went a little bit more. I think, though, I did get 200 on everything. A few of them, it was just 200, and then I did switch off, given on the timing, but I always did try to give the 200. So you'll see more of that sometimes, or just that. And the only other thing was, you can't repeat, like if you use birds as your connecting word between one and another, you can't use that connecting word again. So each connection has to be unique from any of the others. I can't remember if you have to use different projects too. I suppose if you run out, then you can go cycle back. I don't remember. It's never been a problem because I have 80 whips. So there's never any chance of me running through all of my projects. What I generally do, though, is I do give myself, I look at it ahead of time and I make the connections so that I can not repeat things somehow or other. And then I pull them out and see how many I can get to. All right, so the theme was colorful. And that played perfectly into a new start that I had last Thursday. Remember, when I stitch things on Thursdays after, say, 12 noon, I don't put them in the Friday video because they're in the pile of things that have to get prepped and ready. When I do my videos, I have everything pulled out. I iron. Yes, I do. It's more of a mental thing. It's just relaxing for me. I don't really care one way or another whether or not it shows the wrinkles, but that's just how I like to do it. And so there's a routine. And so that's why you wouldn't have seen this, because I started it last Thursday afternoon. And it was perfect then to make it the first start, just continue stitching on it, of the riff off. And this is, now I'm calling it Butterflies 2 because I think that's the Etsy name. But who was I watching? Remember, I don't know if it was Rachel Q. And she had printed off the front page and it said something like butterfly in garden. I don't remember exactly. In bloom, in garden. I'm not sure, but I call it Butterflies 2. It's from Durene Jones. And she has 3 different butterflies. They're very pretty. All of this kind of style. I know one of them, I think the main butterfly is yellow, and I don't remember on the other one. Someday I may stitch them all. This is a really nice full coverage because there's not a lot of one stitch confetti. There are blocks of color so that you're able to get a good bunch of stitching. And then if you wanted to take a color somewhere for a while, you could. Obviously, you could do black ahead of time. I don't have that type of staying power or attention to stay with just the black and do the whole outline. I always say I'm going to, and then I get bored and I have to put something else in. So here we are. It doesn't show much and there's none of the beautiful purples yet, but I am stitching it as a whole. So if you see here, you can see a pretty distinct circle if you wanted to make it into kind of like a hoop kind of finish, or you can do the full square, and I am doing the full square. I know I have to repeat that square 4 times because it's a repeating one, but it'll be fine. This is 18 count white. I decided not to do any other colored background because it's all going to be full coverage. It's not going to matter anyway. If it's, I think size-wise, I think I'll be able to put it in the scrapbook. If there's, so that would be fine. It would almost give itself its own little mat around the edges if I do leave a certain amount of white around the edges. I could do that and then maybe then mat it again in black. I think that'd be kind of cool with the white and the black. But anyway, that's where I got. This is over 500 stitches total between starting it on Thursday and working on it for the riff off. I think the riff off didn't start until 6 p.m. Thursday on my time. So I did put in extra stitches so that I get it. Now, I am stitching this along with a bunch of other friends. We have a hashtag, which I think, Karen, I don't know if it's hashtag stitch all the butterflies. I think it is. Karen from the Stitching Owl. I said to her we needed a hashtag. She was very good about coming up with something. The beauty is if you do stitch a butterfly, it doesn't have to be this one. It's just stitch all the butterflies. So Karen from the Stitching Owl, our other friend Karen. Then we have, where's my list here? Mary from Mary's Stitching Corner. We have Amy from Renewing Stitches, and then Rachel from Rachel Q jumped on. So I'm super excited. I know somebody else had told me that they're stitching the yellow version, which I'm so excited to be able to see, because I can't wait to see that one come alive, and it's going to tempt me to want to stitch it. Those are the people I know doing specifically, except for the one that's doing the yellow that I know of. All the rest of us are doing the purple. Now, I know Amy in her last video talked about making it just a hoop finish, and I'm pretty sure Karen and Rachel are debating. Mary and I believe, are both doing the full square. So you get a chance to see it in a bunch of different ways, and everybody will be linked down below in the description box, so you'll get a chance to check them all out. That's where it is. Now, because of an event this weekend, it's called the Strident Sal from Whip Warriors, and it basically, it challenges you to work on something that is a stitch along for a few days. Now, this won't be the only thing I stitch on, because you know me, I don't ever stitch on just one thing. Even when I'm focusing a weekend on something, I get a bunch of other stitches as well. But that will get probably, maybe, I think the event started at 6 p.m. my time last night, and it might go to 6 p.m. Monday. So if I put at least 100 stitches today, tomorrow, Sunday, maybe Monday, I might be able to get 400 stitches in. I won't stop at 100 specifically if I have a strand, so there could definitely be more. Okay, moving on here. I'm chatty today, and I had 12 projects from Riff off, so I need to move it here. All right, the next piece. This is, so what was my connecting link was butterfly. So we went from butterflies to earth laughs. And you can see there's butterflies near the bottom here. This is a Jan Hicks Creates pattern. This is one of my, I'm curious if it's, so if I'm looking at my pictures here, Christmas Town is my oldest piece completely. Earth Laughs is my third oldest piece completely. So we need to get going with it. Now, many of you know my struggles. I've talked about this for quite some time. I decided to try 20 count Aida for the very first time when I started this piece. And I that's fine. I can see the holes just fine. But I also said, well, it's 20 count. I'm going to try one strand stitching, you know? I hadn't done that yet. And I did try, it's charted in Cosmo. It does give you a DMC alternative, but I decided to try the Cosmo. And I am struggling with one strand stitching. Not gonna lie to you. I just find I don't get as much done, and I pull hard, and I think because of that I shred the floss. And I know I try changing needles as soon as one does shred. I try changing needles. I always have a multiple set right by me, not just one needle. And I just and because they're fine usually. I think it's me, and as a result, I've struggled with one strand stitching, which is why I haven't done a lot of 20 count, even though I really want to. So I'm going to have to try again. This is almost done. Not quite. I focused quite a bit here. So now I have a little bit more greenery, and I do have a branch of sorts. I messed up in my counting. This was at a page break somehow or other. So I've had to kind of fudge it a little bit, and so far it's doing fine. It doesn't look out of whack, so I think I'll be okay. I have that, and then I don't know if they're dragonflies. Oh yeah, because there's one dragonfly, so I know I have another one. I have a couple more butterflies. I have the center of some of these butterflies, and I might have, I don't know if there's any backstitch. I don't remember. Very, very close to finishing. So maybe April flower? No, it's April showers, bring May flowers. April or May. Maybe I'll try to get this one finished. One of the months I'll pull it out and I will just plug on through. Maybe in May for May flowers. I have plans already forming for April, so we'll see. But yay, this was a 20 count, or is, still is, a 20 count ice blue from To Dye For Fabrics. Please remember To Dye For has stopped hand dyeing, but you might be able to find them on the secondary market, which is why I do give you the names of things. And at one point, from when I was starting things, I have quite a few because I really like To Dye For fabrics. I was very sad when she decided to retire from hand dyeing fabrics. There are lots of my projects, including the next one you'll see, that are on that. It is the way it is. So that had flowers on it. So that was my next connection from Earth Laughs to April's Daisy. And this is from Cottage Garden Samplings. It will be in April. It'll have its 2-year birthday. So April finish. I'm going to have a finish on this sometime in April is my goal. These flowers are a little bit tricky. There's lots of colors on them, so we're going slow, but it's coming along. There it is. This is done on an 18 count Seaglass from To Dye For fabric. And I did, well, I know I put the little chick in. He still needs his eyeball, so does this guy. I worked on I've worked on greenery, so I brought the greenery down, finished off that flower, started that one. And I'm trying to think. This one probably got, no, I think I worked on this more than just the 200 stitches thinking about it. I don't remember 100% if I needed to do, I think it was the letters. I don't think the letters were done. And that does take a little bit of time as well. But we are coming along. If I look at it, this is my last yellow flower. Then I have the white flower, which will have yellow centers. And this little chick is on a basket with little eggs. And then it might be, oh, there's like some green stuff coming in between all of this, like leaves or whatever. That has some kind of a design of X's or something. So there's still a good amount like to get me through April, but hopefully by the end of the month, you'll see a finish on that one. That's my goal this year, to get all 12 of them completely done and finished as of the end of this year. All right, next. So that had bunnies in it. So then I chose to pull out another piece that had bunnies in it. Now you've recently seen this one, but it worked out well for the riff off. So I said, I'm pulling it out again. Actually, I think you saw it last week, so you get to see it 2 weeks in a row. This is Spring Quaker from Lila's Studio. And if you remember correctly, last week I had, whoa, excuse me, as I almost hit myself with the iPad. I still have this huge element and the stuff down here to do. That's it on the outside, and then the entire inner piece. Now, because I was doing this for the riff off, I decided, you know what? I'm going to work on the center and start working on the basket. And that's what I did. Now you can see mine is vastly different than the original. Now the original is stitched on kind of this color scheme. This is actually a pretty pink. There's 18 count rose hips from Under the Sea Fabrics. Most of the colors have been changed. In the description box below, I have listed some, but I don't know if I've listed all. So please reach out and let me know if there's something that I didn't change. I obviously changed all the motifs from browns to greens, and that includes the letters. I changed the words because both the words and this part here, but in this flower, they were charted in black, and it was much too harsh against these colors on this pink, so I actually put that in a brown. I changed the colors of the bunnies, including their outline and their inside. And then I wasn't necessarily planning on changing the color of the basket. I was going to use the called for, but the called for was a little lighter than I wanted. So I did change that out too. It's like 434 and 430. I don't remember exactly. I'll put that down there as well when I get going on it. I very rarely do a full, almost full conversion. Like some of the smaller motifs, so the hearts and stuff might be the same color. I did actually use over here for fun. I did use a variegated floss, which I did not use over here on these. I just pulled it out here for these, just cause. I think this, see the color here of this beehive? That was the color, those were the colors of the basket. And the contrast to me just wasn't working 100%. And because I have the words in brown, I thought these kind of went nicely, because that's in a deepest brown, then we have a mid and a lighter. So I did go with that. But, you know, once in a while, I would not want to do full conversions on everything. It's a lot of trial and error, but I like it. So this will come out in 3 weeks again, because it's in the rotation of 4. It wasn't this week's regular rotation piece. It just happened to get that extra. That had Spring Quaker has houses in it in the center. So I picked out a piece that had a house, and that was Summer Refreshes by Summer House Stitchworks. I can't tell you how much I enjoy stitching on this one. It is just so much fun. You probably realize it, because if you watch me from week to week, you've seen it quite a bit since I've started it. It's not been that long ago since I've started it. I'm not stitching as called. I'm stitching it monochromatically as I did with Spring. I'm using the same 319 DMC Floche, 1 strand on this 18 count lemon from Bestitchme. And I think last time you saw it, I might have just had the 2 little chimneys. So I did quite a bit of the house. And then I think I also did this flower that comes along the side of the house. So this corner, all the way done. This is as far as it goes down. I have taken this all the way over. And I might have taken this all the way over. So you've got 3 corners already set. So it's not a huge piece. Going faster than Spring, I do have to say I'm really loving this one. I enjoyed Spring, but I'm loving this one. So that's a lot of fun. Okay, that was a monochromatic piece. So therefore I said, I'm going to pull out another monochromatic piece. That was my connection between the two. And I pulled out, it worked perfectly, because this was my piece of the week that I needed to do 500 stitches. I did my riff off number of stitches, 200 and something I think I did. And then later on in the week, I did do, probably on Monday, for Monochromatic Monday, I put in some more stitches on this one. So this is Fish and Ships, and it is from Long Dog Samplers. And I started this, not this January of 25, but the January of 24 for my new year, new start. And I'm getting there. I'm getting so close. This is my first Long Dog sampler. I got to tell you, I like the small size of it. It's not the correct way. I was like, it looks upside down. It was sideways. That whale didn't look right. There we are. I really like the smaller size. I love watching people stitching the bigger pieces. Andrew, the runner stitcher, with his Saga piece. I'm sure you're watching Andrew, but I'm going to list him. His Saga piece is amazing, and he's going to get that finished in the 4 years. I know it. He is plugging along so wonderfully on it. But it's so huge, and I thought, I'm going to try something smaller, and I really like the smaller piece. I'm not going to lie. This is 18 count. I'm going to show you what it says. This was a Black Friday special. And so it was a set of 3 18 count pieces. They were blues and greens. And as soon as this one came in, because I didn't know what I was going to use for fabric at that point, this came in and I said, yep, that's exactly what I want to use for Fish and Chips. I could see have used an opal blue. That would have been pretty too, to give you some sparkle. And I'm using DMC white floche for the stitching, 1 strand, and then I'm doing 1 strand of sulky white for any back stitch. I have to go back. Like, I haven't back stitched up here yet. In the lighthouse, and then there's a few other places I think for backstitch. I'll do that at the very end. I think I'm around 70%. This week I focused almost exclusively, I think, on this piece. Look at it, it's almost done. This corner just needs to be done. And then yeah, I think it's a ship over here. I can't remember if I finished this as well. Now this little guy here, I accidentally, when I first stitched the first part, I accidentally stitched it as a 3-part like hole. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to do that for all of them. But then I accidentally left one as a 4. I'm like, well, that's all right. There'll be one that's slightly different than the other. The accidents kind of canceled each other out in the end. So there it is. But this one was this week's piece. So that did get the 500 stitches in it. And now it'll get put away unless it comes up for some sort of challenge. I like the monochromatic pieces for challenges. Those are a lot of fun. So those come out. That Fish and Ships had an anchor on it. You know, with the riff offs, I'm going to have nautical pieces because I have so many beachy and nautical lighthouses and things like that, that almost all the time, either anchors or lighthouses are part of my prompts between pieces. One of these times I'm going to make myself not use those as prompts. But this one has a anchor on it right over here. This is Summer Signs from Twin Peak Primitives. I had not pulled it out yet this year, so it was perfect timing. And my goal this year is to try to get a good portion of it done. Here, I am planning on recharting that to say Delaware, which is where I live. That'll be the very end. And you can see I started doing that middle section, and at some point I'll do the whole outline. The whites in that little bit is a little harder to see. It'll be fine otherwise, and I can probably stitch this blue part, but then I'll end up having that open. I'll probably chart that at the end. This week I worked over here. I got the entire word summer done, so that this bottom thing will say welcome summer. And then I can't do this middle pole until I figure out the stuff here. This was one issue. There's a few. If you do decide to do this, check your chart carefully. They may have fixed them. There's several mistakes in my chart. One of the biggest ones is, if you can see, this part of the pole here is too far to the side than the rest of the pole. It doesn't line up. And I just couldn't unsee that once I saw it. Therefore, I changed it. I had already stitched this, so I moved this over so it would be completely under. But that means, because some of this stuff feeds into the pole, kind of, is in front of it, so to speak, I have to stitch all of that first before I can finish the pole. That's why I wanted to get that table done as well. Now, is there anything on the table? Yes, there is. There's a piece of watermelon. That's within the pole. I might do the drink as well, though, because it looks like a lemonade, because I'm not sure how far over there is. Once that top gets done, then I'd like to get all of this done to kind of give me a center point. I have only one of these done, half of this one, and then I have a red one here. So I still have more up here. There are some mistakes in these little beach huts, bath huts. So therefore I kind of skipped over that and came down here. This is done on an 18 count caramel macchiato from Fabrics by Stephanie. And I think it's gonna be so much fun when it's done. And as you can see, I'm pretty sure my next connection, was a lighthouse. So we have this lighthouse right here, and that's how I connected the next piece. I had actually stitched that lighthouse. I had started this piece once before, stitched the lighthouse, and realized I hadn't counted properly to the edges because I didn't take into account the fact that it was smaller here and then would come out. I ended up using the lighthouse for a trading card, and I actually really liked it. Hopefully whoever ended up getting it likes it too. All right, so the lighthouse connection meant it was kind of a no-brainer for me to pull out Lighthouse from Cottage Garden Samplings, part of their Fabulous Houses series, number 8. And this is where I am. This is what I focused on. There are way more stitches in these pieces. I think many of us who have done any of the series now, you don't think it with any of these, and then you realize, there's a lot of stitching. And what's really cool is, if you can see, there's the designs within all these solid pieces, which means it's a little bit more challenging for counting and so on and so forth. So they go a little slower than anticipated. This is the bottom. I don't know if you can see, I've got some of those white wave caps. So I'd say probably about here. These are actually, this year's are squares more than rectangles. Oops, sorry, did I hit the thing? I don't know if it's a 10 by 10 square. Oh no, on 18 count, it'll be basically a 7 by 7 square. Okay, that makes sense. And I'm only halfway here. I have another, this all repeats over here, and this all repeats over here. But I really like how she's got the light of that coming into the point in the center. I worked exclusively on this. As you can see, I have not gotten the lightest colors in the center done yet. This is 18 count Compelling Conscious from Those Missing Stitches. I love this color for kind of beachy stuff. I did my seagull from Cottage Garden also on this, and I would love to have those two together when done, because it would be just so cool to have them. Speaking of seagulls, yes, so that was the connection. Oh, and we have seagulls on the bag here too. The seagull was the connection for the next piece, and this is a digital, so I need to show you that here. When did I start it? I have to think about when I started it to see. Oh, there it is. I'm going to make this bigger. Now, I am changing this a little bit size-wise, so, and what I'm doing with it. This is called Hello Summer from Erin Elizabeth, and isn't it lovely? I decided I did not want to say Hello Summer on it. I know it's a summer piece, so I'm taking out those words. As a result, I decided to pull the lighthouse in closer. This piece is much narrower, well, I don't know how much, but narrower than the original, which means once I did have to kind of figure out where colors went in the sailboat and then the lighthouse, because obviously that was color, the words were going into it. So I did have to kind of not fudge, but I had to change that a bit and figure out. So this has gone a little bit slower than anticipated because of that, but I'm now at a point where I'm getting close. This summer I could certainly have this one finished. So that's where I am. And there's the little seagull. That was part of what I stitched this week. And that was one thing I had to figure out what I wanted to do, because obviously when this was wider, this guy was, these two, between the crab and the seagull, were much farther apart. Therefore, I had to figure out sizing where it would go. And then I started to do some of the water, realizing I kind of messed up. And over here I had done darker blue, which was not the called for. And then I had done a lighter blue, kind of like a 930 or whatever. Between the 930s, I pulled out a different one, which was the actual color. But then I liked how it mixed and matched. So I'm purposely mixing and matching the lighter and darker blue. So there'll be some more of that. I have the lighthouse to finish at this point. And then I am going to have to figure out, you know, she's got a couple of different colors of browns for the sand, but I can't follow exactly the design because I've obviously squished it. So I have to figure out, I will follow as much as her design as I can and then fix it as I go. And then over here where there was supposed to be words, I'm going to put at least one of the, you know, she's got some stitched seagulls that are just basically like the V. I'll do at least one, if not two, over here to cover in some of the space. I'll do the closest one to the sun and see if I need more. And then I think there's one other one up here that I might do. This is 18 count Lotus from Bestitchme. So it has changed a bit, but I'm liking how it looks. Now this piece has a sun, and that's the connection that I did for the next piece, I believe. Yes. This next piece, I really have to, one of these months I'm going to make it a 25/7 piece. This is The Shores of Hawk Run Hollow from Carriage House Samplings. Now, I wanted to put this in because I was watching Nancy, the disorderly stitcher. Hi, Nancy. And she was stitching on this. Now, Nancy's stitching the whole thing. It looks gorgeous so far. And she had started a leap year stitch along so that in the 4 years' time, this will get done with a certain number of things getting stitched each month. Now, I did not want to stitch the whole thing. And I was watching Megan, let me write down Megan, Georgia Girl Stitching. And Megan had recharted to do, I'd say 2/3 of it. And I asked Megan, would she be willing to share that kind of rechart? And she did. Now, I know Megan is using some variegated. I'm going to just use DMC. So I don't have all of those. And I don't think at some points she had kind of decided on some of the colors yet. So it'll be fine. I'll kind of go with some matching colors. So this was my plan then. I was going to do this. Now I'm up here. And as I'm up here, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I decided I wanted to take out the center and just have the 4 squares and do a kind of a squared piece. And then the center at some point, maybe do at some other point without the words. I'm not doing, I did these words, but then I'm not doing any of the other words. I'm not sure here. I might pick from one of the other patterns and put something up top here. We'll see. But I'm still on that first block. It's like a never-ending block. I focused a lot on rocks this time. And that's it. This is 18 count pale ale from Dying for Cross Stitch. I had decided I wanted to stitch this early on in my back to cross stitch. And this was back when I was still kind of going with the colors and the schemes that were shown in the models. I do like it that way though, so I'm perfectly happy with it. If I was to start it now, who's to say I wouldn't try a blue, but you know, a blue or a gray, because you know, those seem to be my defaults, but I like it and I'm going to like it in the end. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, I would like to maybe focus and have it a 25/7 for 1 month, which means I stitch on it every day for, you know, 25-ish minutes, give or take, just to get at least this first block done. And then we can go from there. So we will see. I do want to do Hidden Harbor for 100 stitches a day next month. So I don't know if this one would work as a 25. We'll see. Oh no, I have plans. I have other things for April. We'll see. I haven't figured out my May plan yet. You know how a lot of people do kind of like a May plan. I don't know what mine is yet. So maybe something, I'll have to think about that. All right, so that had a girl, woman, whatever you want to say, on the picture. And I have been having so much fun stitching this. I said, well, Snow White, she's a woman, girl, woman, whatever you want to call. And so I'm going to work on Snow White. This is the Snow White tree from Tiny Modernist. Oh, I really like it so much. And here we are. I have almost, I was going to say almost the top, well, kind of almost the top done. We got both squirrels, except for their eyes. I think I have to fill in their eyes, but I think that's a color that I'll do later. Both squirrels are done. I got both outer parts. Oh, that's it. I have to fill in both of these leaves, but it'll be the same color. And maybe I'll wait till a bunch of them are outlined and then to go in with the fill them in. That would make sense because then I could just keep carrying that thread. I did one of the flowers on this side, except for the outer part, so I got to do the inner part here. And I did not do all of the kind of the structural outline of that yet. But I'm really pleased. This is an 18 count opal. It did not have a tag on it though, so I do not know. It's an unknown color, but isn't that pretty? I didn't have any more of the opal. I didn't have enough, I should say, of the opal fabric that I'm using for Alice in Wonderland, and I did use for Wizard of Oz. But I thought this is on the color family. That one's a light blue. This is more of a darker blue, so that they kind of match anyway. Maybe, I don't know how I'm going to put them in the scrapbook. They're all going to be scrapbooked as a collection at some point, so we'll see. That was my second to last piece. My last piece, that one had mushrooms, apples, and leaves. Take your pick. All of these have mushrooms, apples, and leaves. It was my last piece, so I was kind of just, it didn't matter which one I chose. This is Sampler Seasons Autumn, and it is from Blueberry Ridge Designs. Now, if you want to see winter, Janet just completely finished stitching the winter piece, and it is gorgeous. How she took a variegated floss, and then I think it has 4 different colors in it. She then took the 4 DMCs that are part of that color scheme and just created a masterpiece. It's beautiful, and she's now started the spring one. I eventually want to stitch all of them, but I'm not starting until I get one of them finished. Mary from Mary's Stitching Corner is also stitching this autumn one, and I recently saw it. Mary's about 50% done, and it's beautiful. But here's mine. I'm just gonna, I'll do this. There we go. This is 18 count. What is this? Dragon's Lair from Bestitchme. And I used, let me see if I can see what, Fire Lily from Stitchy Stuff Co. is what I used for this one. So it's a variegated floss, and I'm a little worried. I only have one. I bought a hank of it, and I don't know if I have enough. I might have to buy another hank just to be sure. And it's a pretty color, and it has some variegation, but not heavy variegation. I like mild variegation in my flosses, just because for stitching, I can see it better with my eyes, and I don't have to worry so much. I am using a Threadworks that's a little heavily more variegated for one of my Christmas things. Oh, I forgot to do the Christmas piece that I was going to. Whoops. And I have to be a bit more careful, so it's a little slower. So I like this one. I worked on this bottom corner right here. I got this completely finished, and then I started the bottom border, so all of that is new. I finished this guy right here. Yeah, this was a lot of stitching right here, this corner. It's more than you realize. I have a giant pumpkin right here. So I'm not sure if I'll go to that next. I'm not 100% here. I really should finish that, work my way down here. Look at this. That's a pretty border over there too. So that would be a lot of fun. But that's what it looks like. I'm really liking it. I know this is a little bit wild fabric, but I think once everything's stitched and it's cut down, I think the two colors will go nicely without being overpowered like it is a little bit with the whole piece right here. And that was how I finished off my riff off. And then what I did was I would go back and I would stitch on I would stitch on the pieces to get a little bit more than just the 200. So there'd be a little bit more to show. So that was my stitching for this week. Now, this is the 28th, right? Is today the 28th? Yes, it is. So Tuesday is April 1st, and I thought it would be a lot of fun to do a little Zoom stitch on April 1st. Instead of April Fool's Day, it's going to be April Friends Day. So from 2 to 4 Eastern Standard Time, I am going to host a Zoom. If you're on my Facebook group and you go to the events, you will see all of the necessary information there, password and ID, meeting ID. If you are not on Facebook, no worries. Just reach out to me either through my Instagram or Gmail, however, that way, and let me know that you would like the information, and I will give it to you. So that is coming up on April 1st, and that will lead into my first week of April. But before that, April, what are we doing? This is my riff off page. I don't have my April cover page. I am not a really good doodle drawer. Just not on my skill set. So I haven't done my April start page yet. Maybe this weekend I'll work on that. I do have I Spy all set. So I Spy prompts are set. If you go to the Facebook page, they are there. And I'm hoping today, which is Friday, to get them on the community tab. I generally put them on the Facebook page first, just because that's how I'm thinking about it, and then I put them in my book once they're all set. But then I just need to go back to the community tab, and I have to be on today to do all of the information for this video, so I will go right to the tab and do that as well. The acrostic for Magazine Monthly Challenge is apricot, so that's all set to go. I do like to do, I have focus stitching from Whip Warriors, Dark 13 Halloween stitching, pumpkin birthday stitching, Christmas stitching. So those all have to do the 13th, the 23rd, the 25th, maybe the 24th. And then Stride and Sal happens at the end of the month with Whip Warriors. Over here for April. So April 1st is my April Friends Day. And it's going to kick off a week for me of friend stitching. So it's a Sal week. April 1st to April 7th, I'm calling Sal week. And you will see some of that next week's video because I'll start April 1st. And I will try my best. Obviously, between now and then, I might stitch on things that are not stitch-alongs. But from the 1st to the 7th, I will do my best. I'm going to pull out everything that is a stitch-along, or I've started to stitch along with people or for people's hashtags. If you go to the Salander on Instagram, you probably could find a stitch along to go with any of your projects, really, in the end. But if you'd like to join me and stitch even for a day or two or the entire week of April, if you'd like to stitch just stitch along pieces, if you have as many as I do because you're easily influenced and you like to stitch things with other people, come join me. That would be a lot of fun. I don't have the acrostic yet for Crafts and Books. So that's all I have in my book so far. So when Beth from Crafts and Books, Beth is the Steadfast Stitcher, and her Facebook page is Crafts and Books. I'm gonna list Beth. There's something in Beth's video. Beth put out a video Wednesday, and while I was watching her, I stitched on a piece that you're not seeing in this video. You'll see it next week. But it is a stitch along piece because I'm stitching it with her. So you'll see it in the next video because I want to stitch on it a little bit more sometime next week after the 1st. So Beth puts out an acrostic. I'm just waiting on that to see what that one is. And then I can start. I don't fill everything out ahead of time at the beginning of the month generally. I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person with these challenges. I'm a list maker in life and I like plans in life. It's really funny, but I just kind of go wild for my cross stitch as much as go wild as I do. And I don't know what else is happening challenges. I unofficially participate in categories. I think this month I had 5. I got 5 categories prompts that I was able to do. Let me look and see if there's anything else. That's pretty much it. I think I've talked about all of the stuff for that. I am not participating in Springo. If you are part of Magazine Monthly Challenge, they do have a bingo sort of challenge. If you like the bingo ones. This one's a little different, and you basically assign just 7 projects to do for the month with this challenge. And I felt a little too restricted with that. When I do their January and September bingos, I make it a point to try to do 25 different pieces so that I touch a lot of my stuff. And so just doing the 7 kind of over and over, I felt like I wouldn't do justice to a lot of my other pieces as well. So I am passing that, but you'll probably see, people talking about Springo, and it'll be so fun to watch people do that. Yeah, so new month challenges, I Spy Acrostics, the focus event, which will start next week, but I don't know how much of you see, but it will be Cinderella, and that is a stitch along piece. So I'll talk about that when that gets there. April Friends Day the 1st was Zoom, and April Friends Week, Sal Week, 1st through 7th. The other thing I thought I'd start, well, I'm pulling this out. So I have April Cottage. March and April are it. This one's already started. So hopefully we can get a finish this month. I recently talked about this Raining Love from Paddock Lane Designs. And I thought, oh, April showers, right? That might be fun to start that. This is the piece that fell out of my magazine. This is Garden Bunny from the Just Cross Stitch magazine, spring 2025. I thought I would start that. I do want to look back on their Instagram because they did show somebody had changed the color of the bunny and it was beautiful. So I might do that, or I might keep it. I don't know. Who knows? But this is hopefully a start. And then I also thought about starting, I have this book, Cross Stitch for the Forest, and I love so many of the pieces, and it's so fun seeing people stitch on them. And Karen, Stitching Owl, and Mary Stitching Corner are like, they are zipping through. They're picking a piece, stitching it together, and getting them done. And I am so love seeing them stitch them that I was looking through, and I saw this one. Now, I want to stitch mostly everything in here, like everybody usually says, except the bugs. I don't want to do the bugs. This one's called Heron at Dawn, but I had an idea. Instead of stitching the cloud in the sun and not stitching it on blue, which I know you're shocked, finding a beautiful kind of pinkish reddish kind of sunrise sort of piece and stitching it on that. I think these colors would really pop. And I think that would be so much fun. So I'm thinking about doing that. And that might be a start this month. April is Earth Month. And so I think it's a lot of fun to work on different earth kind of pieces. And this obviously would be earthy. And we do have, I don't know if they're herons, ospreys, or egrets. We have either one or multiple of them here in Delaware by the beaches. I live by the Delaware beaches. I'm in southern Delaware. And so we see these And in fact, my community has a couple one of those like man-made pond things. And I think every once in a while somebody will show a picture of one of these types in the in those lakes areas. So it's kind of a little bit, kind of some ideas of what I might start as well. Let me know what you're doing for April. Are you starting anything? Do you want to join me for Sal Week or Sal Day if you want to just do the first, or all sorts of fun stuff like that? Okay, that's the plans. We're almost done here. So I know the video's gone long with the stitching, but I have just a little bit more to talk about. One other stitching thing to talk about. I had not shown this. One of my stitchy friends, one of our stitchy friends who does trading cards, had sent me this picture. She had stitched, lo and behold, from Long Dog samplers. And she sent me a colored picture of it. And I wanted to show you how beautiful this was. And she sent me a skein of it. She used DMC 4000 espresso and then did different backstitch with sulky. But look at the, let's go against here. Do you see? I don't know if you can see the different colors. There's mostly browns, but then like a deep grayish. It's very pretty. And almost dropped it. I wanted to show off her beautiful work. Isn't that gorgeous? Really, really pretty. That is awesome. Great job. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to give this a try. That would be kind of cool. I'll need to figure out what to use that for. But thank you. All right. Other than that, I got no shopping. Nope, nothing. Nothing here on this table is shopping. So if you were looking to see some market haul, not here. Lots of other videos, and everybody's putting it in their titles, so you'll get a chance to see. There might be a trip this weekend down to Salty Yarns, so maybe I'll look and see, but I didn't pre-order a thing. All right, so that is the stitching. If that is all you care about, then thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me. And I will see you next week. So life. This past weekend, I had a visit from my older child, and that was so much fun. We really, it was a 24-hour kind of quick visit, Saturday afternoon to Sunday afternoon. But it was nice on Saturday, so we went out somewhere and had a very long, leisurely kind of late lunch kind of thing. And just sat outside and talked and caught up, and then you know, basically just hung out for the 24 hours, obviously barring sleep and all of that. And then she went back to Pennsylvania. So that was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that little trip. My younger child is currently finishing up college. We've got 6 weeks, I think, ish to go. So both of them will be done and graduated as of mid-May this year. It's amazing. I still think of them as little tiny babies. Wow. So that's happening there. I had physical therapy this week. My physical therapist had, unfortunately, a family emergency, hope all is well. And I had a really nice therapist who filled in. Where I go, the therapist stays with you the entire hour session. You don't get just a little bit of their time and then they, give you the aids or just tell you to go do your exercise. Nothing like that. And he was very, very nice, but he did things a little bit differently, which didn't quite sit well with me. So Tuesday I was in extreme pain compared to I had been doing pretty good. And again, he didn't do a lot different, but enough different that it just kind of set me off. And there's always step backs, right? You 2 steps forward, then you get a step backwards. This felt a bit like 5 steps backwards, but it happens. Tuesday was kind of a really, really difficult day. Wednesday was less of a difficult day. And then yesterday I am starting to get better, but I haven't slept well. So if I didn't wear glasses, you would see extreme bags under my eyes because I was in pain even sleeping, which generally doesn't happen. Plus the whole, I'm in my 50s, so who sleeps when you're in your 50s anyway, right? You just, between being too warm or not being able to sleep well or everything else. So a whole combination of things there has made for a bit of a difficult week this week, but we just soldier on and we just keep going. And you know, as soon as I finish this, I'm going to get up and move around and try to get all of the muscles moving again and try to get some of the pain out. So we'll see what happens. But I got through it, and after a few days, I like to think that at this point, if I had been in that much pain, I would have had to pull out the cane, and I would have been at least a week in extreme pain. And instead, I was only in extreme pain for 1 full day, a decent amount for 2, but I'm coming back, and I did not have to pull the cane out in order to walk at all. So I feel really good about that. And we just progress and push through. I mentioned a possible trip to Salty Yarns. Mo wants to, tomorrow's supposed to be really nice here in Delaware. Probably cooler by the ocean. I guess I saw something that said ocean water obviously is cold. And so I don't claim to understand weather, but that would make our temperatures colder. And then of course, I guess more wind. I think tomorrow parts of Delaware could hit 80, which, oh boy, it's been windy and cold here since 2025 began. It's been a tough 2025. But nice tomorrow. Mo really wants to play pickleball in the morning. I said, that's fine. He said, well, what if we did? Then I think because he was feeling guilty and, you know, I'll take advantage of it. He said, how about, and he said this, I did not push it all. He's like, how about we take a trip to Maryland and we'll go to Salty Yarns in the afternoon? I said, hey, if you want to do that, that's fine. It'll be open up the windows, have the weather beautiful, have a nice drive. And then since we're already in Maryland, we'll pop over to Ocean City and by the beach area there, and we'll go to our favorite restaurant over there. And then we drive up, as you come up from Ocean City, then you go up through Bethany, which is a beautiful part of southern Delaware, and all the way up kind of thing. So that might be our Saturday afternoon, which will be really nice. So I might, if I go to Salty Yarns, you know I'm going to buy some stuff, right? It's not like I'm not going to buy anything. But there were some beautiful market releases. I just didn't feel the need to pre-order. So we'll see what catches my eye when I go, if I go. Hopefully I will. And then I'm getting my hair cut on Monday. I'm not doing anything special. I usually just tell them chop it to like my shoulders. And then we start all over again. But I'm really excited because there's just too much hair here now. And it's time for some of it to go. So I'll start off April, and hopefully spring's coming and it's warm and it's nice, and we can just get going into spring. Other than that, TV, Mo and I have been watching, we've been rotating. We've been watching Reacher, which is the Jack Reacher series on Amazon. I did not read the books, so I don't know the storylines. Mo said this one has some familiar tendencies because he read some of the books. I don't think he read the entire series. And we're rotating that with Top Chef. I don't watch a lot of reality TV. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not really up on all of those shows, but I have watched Top Chef from the beginning. I like all the cooking ones. So the British Baking Show, Top Chef, some of the other Food Network challenges, things like that. I like those kind of things. But Top Chef started a week or 2 ago, and we really like watching that together. And so we watched that last night, episode 2. So it'll be a lot of fun and interesting. That's always fun to see. That's it, though. I haven't really discovered any new TV shows to tell you about. And that's pretty much it. I was really kind of too tired to concentrate on reading any books, so I really didn't read much of anything this week. That background, I know a lot of you like the story about me not hearing the sonic boom at all. I'm still working through that book, and so a couple of days I just had that in the background while I was stitching. I still don't remember what it's called. Obviously, clearly, it's just a light and fluff kind of historical romance book that I'm just putting on in the background. But sometimes it's nice just to have something like that. And that is it. That's all I got. I hope you got some good stitching done. And if you're still here, if you are, thank you. I appreciate that, listening to me ramble all this time. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. Please take care of yourself. As always, remember, and I really do truly mean this. This is not me just saying this, but you really do matter. You matter. You are important. And I really, really hope you know that. That's something I really feel. I think we all are special. Every single person has special qualities and something to us. And that makes you special and unique and wonderful. And I hope you know that about yourself. Okay. before I start crying, because then I start thinking about people and, you know, all that good stuff. Uh, I'm gonna sign off. So until next time, happy stitching.